Hello and welcome to our Math 6 Digital Parent Night, where we're going to discuss everything that you need to know about Math 6. So the first question we're going to answer is, how do we use personalized learning in Math 6? And we do this by following a few different methods in the middle of our class. So we use teacher-created videos to provide basic instruction, Socrative online formative assessments to determine the level of student understanding, and you'll have experience with that if you come into Parent Night. Targeted small group instruction, and then project-based learning activities to extend and support student understanding. So we want to virtually invite you into what a class could actually look like. So at the beginning of class, the students come in, the teacher facilitates a mathematical conversation between students to start their math mind for the day. This may include review of homework or just an activity to kind of get their mind going. At the start of the lesson, most students begin their video lesson, and if some students had difficulty on their homework or require instruction from the previous day, they're asked to meet one-on-one or in a small group with the teacher, while everyone else is able to continue on. In the middle of the lesson, after the video, students take their formative Socrative checkpoint, and the teacher works with students one-to-one or in small groups to review the problems that they missed and speaks to every student about the lesson. We want to make sure that each student is understanding the basics of the lesson before they move on. The next thing is, while the students are waiting to meet with the teacher, they're completing their practice problems in their binder or rewatching the lesson video for understanding. We want to make sure that that time in between meeting with the teacher isn't necessarily dead time, that there's actually practice going on. At the end of the lesson, when students have demonstrated understanding, they will move to their project activity to extend their understanding of the unit. They may be working individually or cooperatively with another student. And this is our video creation, a writing project, a video critique. Since we've been using personalized learning in our classroom, we've seen higher test scores, greater student understanding, and our students have really had more confidence with their math skills. So we look forward to continuing to share our math classroom with you, but if you have any questions, please contact your child's teacher for further questions. The next thing we're going to review is just some basic communication. We're going to use Google Sites and Parent or Student View. Those are the best ways to quickly find information. And if you have any questions throughout the year, we put our email addresses in this video for you. So if you need to, please just contact us through email. As far as grading, we're going to use a total point system within two categories, tests and quizzes. Homework will be scored for correctness, but will not impact the class grade. So that's what we're going to call formative. We'll also mark it as not for grading in their gradebook. Any quiz grade that's below an 80 will require quiz corrections, and there'll be a rubric attached to the quiz so you understand what those specific instructions are. The corrections must be completed prior to the unit test, and students will be given the opportunity to replace quiz grades with the unit test grade if all homework and corrections have been completed by the date of the unit test. But the unit test cannot be retested. So they can retake quizzes, but in order to get the grade replacement from the test, they have to have the corrections made for their quiz. It has to be signed by a parent or guardian at home, and they also have to make sure that all of their homework is complete. That includes the Are You Ready and the study guide. The Are You Ready is a practice test, and the study guide is just a quick review of what's going to be actually on the test. But just remember, unit tests cannot be retested. The last thing that we're going to quickly go over is just what does summative, formative, and learning skills mean when they show up in your child's gradebook. So summative is tests, quizzes, and projects that we'll work on. These count towards their quarter grade. Formative assessments, which will be homework, Are You Ready, which is that practice test, the study guide, which will come home right before the test, are not for grading. Those are going to be formative, and we'll mark them for not grading in their gradebook. Now, other things you might see are learning skills. You'll see those as the quiz and test corrections or the quiz and test signatures. If they're exempt from that, we'll just put an X in that column because they didn't score below an 80, therefore they don't need to make corrections or get it signed. But if you still want your student to make corrections and you still want to sign it, then we'll just go back into the gradebook and make sure that we enter that in. Dreambox assignment completion will also be not for grading once we get into Dreambox. The last thing I wanted to go over was just a quick overview of how you navigate our website. So this is our Math 6 website. We'll send home the web address, which is a bit.ly, so it's bit.ly/BEM-Math6. We'll send it home to you in every email that we send home, so you can quickly access everything that's on here. And the way you kind of get around on the site You can see there's introductory information. So we have the Math 6 standards. We have our personalized learning instructional video that I kind of previewed in the beginning of this for you. Also, those classroom expectations that we emailed home are also part of this. So if you want to print them for your own records, that's where you can get them from. The way you can get around on here is if you look at the calendar, and this is the same calendar that is linked on our Belmont Ridge website. You just click on whatever day the student had class or the student missed class. So you can see here that if the first unit on the first day is ratios and FDP. So if I wanted to click on that, I can see my homework is going to be 1-1 in binder on paper. You can check the answers on the Google site. We'll put a link here with the key. And then you can click on the lesson and it will actually take you to the lesson page. And this is everything that the students will need for the lesson that they're going to be learning. So you can see there's the video there for the introduction to ratios and simplifying fractions. It will cover these notes pages. And then they'll take their formative Socrative checkpoint by clicking on the class, whatever time they have math. So that's dependent on their class. You also have access to the completed notes once we get those finished. And then we'll put the blank notes there. So if your student forgot their binder in their locker, but you know that they were absent a day and you want to get them caught up, you can just print the blank notes. It's also perfectly acceptable if a student just uses a scrap piece of paper and just kind of creates their own notes page, and we can put them in the binder for them. We also have some may-do activities, so we'll have the exploring ratios activity if students have time, but if not, they just need to get through the must-do. You can also see if you scroll down, this is the slideshow that we're going to be using for that day in class. So you can see that we're starting with the seating challenge. And then this would be the next slide that the students would see. So you can see what their homework's going to be. You can see what our attendance question would be for the day. And then we'll just kind of continue through. You can click through everything that's in this slideshow and see exactly what your students will be doing in class that day, which is really great. We want to improve that communication between home and school. You can see what their homework's going to be. We'll post the homework key here for you. We'll also post a blank copy of their homework just in case that they lose it. And then we also have extra resources at the bottom of every day that we teach a lesson. So you can see there's a simplifying fractions flip book. There's usually games. There's sometimes extra videos. All different stuff to kind of just help students process through whatever the lesson may be, and especially if they need some extra practice. So every lesson is set up like this. And if you have any issues, just remember you're going to the calendar and then click on whatever day we have class or whatever day your student missed class. We'll also put in important things on there like back to school night, or if they have the MAP assessment coming up, you can see that there. They also have English. But if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you so much for participating in our digital parent night, and we look forward to seeing you in person.